Alright, so let's get started with some Chrome OS tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to really kind of dive in and use the Chromebook in the classroom. The idea behind this class is to really kind of focus on ways that we can utilize the device and the tool and different tools within the device to kind of push how we're accessing and using technology with our students in the classroom. So we're hoping that this will serve a purpose so that you're not just looking for ways to substitute how you use the iPad, now how you use the Chromebook, but really think about ways that you can really push yourself to try new things because of some of the capabilities of the device and the tools within it for student learning. So let's get started. I'm going to start with some G Suite stuff, particularly with like best practices in use with Google Drive files, and then assigning those files to students through Classroom. So this might be a little bit of a review for some of you, but we'll try to cover some advanced features within some of the G Suite applications that will really kind of enhance how your students access their files and utilize the technology with it. So I'm going to launch my Google Drive. You'll see my Google Drive is in my shelf right here. I can obviously move my mouse over it and click it, or I can press Alt-3 because it's in my third slot on my shelf. And when I press Alt-3, it'll launch. And so once my Google Drive launches, I'm just going to show you file types in your Google Drive. So you're using Google Chromebooks with students, and obviously Google devices and the Google operating system likes Google products, just like the Microsoft Suite, if you're using Office 365, likes Office documents. So if you are assigning files and things to students through Google Classroom and you want students to interact with those files, having those files in a native Google format will make your life a million times easier. So a Google Doc, a Google Slide, a Google Sheet, anything that you can find, Google Drawing, up underneath your menu over here. So when you go up under your menu, any of those Google G Suite applications, Google Forms, things like that, when students are using those native documents on their Chromebook, it's going to be the best situation for you because they're able to use the full capability of those tools. If you're assigning Word docs to students through Classroom, they're going to have to open those files in what's called Office compatibility mode, and they'll have limited capabilities. And unless they convert that into a Google Doc, they won't be able to get those full features like revision history, all of the tools, suggested edits, all of the features that we're going to kind of cover in Google Docs. So I wanted to show you how that works. So I have a Word document in my drive. I actually just opened it in preparation. So you'll notice this new quick access bar in your Google Drive. It'll show you anything that you've recently opened happening across the top. And so if it wasn't there, I just searched my Google Drive because my drive consists mostly of native Google files because I'm not taking a whole drive full of files that I used to use on my PC and I'll try to use it with students. But I can actually search my drive for document types. So if I'm searching for a docx, you'll see that your Google Drive, as I start typing, is trying to pull those files. So I just pulled up this file by searching for it. When you upload files to your Google Drive, you have, let's say, a folder of all the files that you use for your IB HOTA class. And so you have those files stored in your Google Drive. It's very possible that you have those files stored in your OneDrive. But if you're going to be using files with kids, the best thing for you to make your life as easy and streamlined as possible would be to have that folder of files that you assign to kids or your course files for this year in your drive, and to convert those files as you need them to Google Docs. There's two ways that you can do that. You can set your drive under the settings in the upper right hand corner. If you go settings and then the redundant settings, you can have your Google Drive convert your files to Google Docs editor format upon upload. And so if you drop a Word doc into your Google Drive, it's going to automatically convert into a Google Doc. So that's your first option. The problem with that option is that some of us really enjoy fancy fonts and all of these crazy borders and all of the clip art, things that we love to put into our documents that sometimes don't convert as nicely as you would want them to. And so if that's the case, you can open files as you need them and convert them as you need them. So maybe you're not assigning all of the documents to your students where you need them to be able to open and annotate or whatever it is on the file. And if that's the case, you can just convert as you need files to assign to your students through Google Classroom. So here's my Word doc that I opened. And when I open a file, I can either open a file and in this preview window, I can say open with and choose Google Docs. And what that will do is it will create an identical copy of this file as a Google Doc that you can assign with students. So that's one way you could do it. I'm going to just go back. And any file in your drive, you can also just right-click on that file and say open with, and then say Google Docs. And so now if I open this with Google Docs, the file is going to open in Google Docs. It is now saved in my drive as this file as a Google Doc, wherever the folder that you opened it from. So when I open this file, it still retains its .docx file extension, but you'll see over here, now I'm in Google Docs. So I highly recommend changing the name so that you don't get confused, because if you have a Word doc and it just denotes that with the W and a Google Doc, and then they're both named the exact same thing, it might be confusing. So the first thing that you could do is rename it. And then you can also add, change, and adjust this file as necessary, and then all of those changes and things are going to be synced automatically back to your Google Drive just as they were before. Just click up in the file type and I can take off this file extension. I can maybe change the name, new assignment for whatever it is that you want to do with it. Because now that I'm in Google Docs, I get Google Docs features. So I'm going to use this opportunity to talk to you about why Google Docs is superior to assigning Word docs for your students if you're going to be using Chromebooks and Google Classroom. So you're definitely going to be using Chromebooks. So if you're using Google Classroom and you're creating assignments for kids, assigning things as Google Docs is definitely the way to go. And so I'm going to cover some of those features right now for you.